Hi friends, today we will discuss a very common clinical entity seen in practice, that is trigeminal neuralgia. We will first discuss some anatomic consideration of the trigeminal nerve, then we will see a brief intro, then what are the clinical manifestations by which the patients present, then pathophysiology of the disease, what is the differential diagnosis, and finally lab evaluation followed by the treatment. You can download the PDF of this lecture and attempt a free test on the MediLectures app, which is available on Play Store as well as iOS. You can also check out Harrison based test series on the app. The description is as follows. When we consider the anatomy of trigeminal nerve, it is a predominantly sensory nerve which supplies the skin of the face and anterior half of the head. The motor component is also present, which mainly supplies the muscles of mastication, that is masseter and pterygoids, as well as tensor tympani muscle of middle ear, which is required for hearing high pitched voices. Motor component is mainly from the third division of the trigeminal nerve, that is mandibular division. Now, it is important to note that it is the largest cranial nerve. When we consider the course of this nerve, this exits through the lateral midpons, then comes in middle cranial fossa, and then this nerve has a ganglion that is known as semilunar ganglion, which is present in Meckel's cave, and finally this divides into its three divisions, that is ophthalmic division, maxillary division and mandibular division. Now this semilunar ganglion is also known as Gasserian ganglion or trigeminal ganglion. On the other hand, the mandibular division exits through foramen ovale. So this is the sensory division of the trigeminal nerve. This pink part is supplied by the ophthalmic division. This green part is by maxillary division, and this blue part is supplied by the mandibular division of trigeminal nerve. Now coming on to the disease itself, that is trigeminal neuralgia. So it is a relatively common disorder with an estimated incidence of 4 to 8 individuals per 1 lakh individuals annually, and it is mainly a disease of middle aged to elderly people and more common in females. Females make 60% of the all cases. It is typically sudden in onset. The pain is sudden in onset with bouts which tend to persist for weeks and even 2 months. Recurrence is very common in this disorder, that is trigeminal neuralgia is very frequently recurring. Now coming on to the clinical manifestations, trigeminal neuralgia is characterized by excruciating pain. Now the pain is very intense, typically in the lips, gums, cheek and chin region. Now it is very rarely present in the distribution of ophthalmic division of the fifth nerve. Mainly it is present in mandibular division of the nerve. Now the pain lasts for few seconds to a minute or two, and the paroxysms are experienced as either single jabs or clusters of pain. Now the pain tends to recur frequently both during day as well as night, and it is increased characteristically by speaking, chewing and smiling. Now another characteristic feature of trigeminal neuralgia is presence of trigger zones. These trigger zones are characteristically present in face, lips and tongue region, and the pain is triggered by activities like washing face, brushing teeth and exposure to the air. Now it is very important to note that there is no sensory loss in the patients of trigeminal neuralgia, that is the pain is the only feature and there is no abnormality in the sensory distribution of the nerve as well as motor distribution of the nerve. There will be no objective signs of sensory loss. Now coming on to the pathophysiology, the symptoms of trigeminal neuralgia result from ectopic generation of action potentials in the pain sensitive afferent fibers of the nerve root. Now these ectopic signals will generate just before the entering of the nerve to the lateral surface of the pons. Now if there is any compression or other pathology in nerve, this leads to demyelination of the large myelinated nerve fibers. Now this demyelination will themselves not cause any pain because it do not carry pain sensation, but this becomes this part of the nerves becomes hyperexcitable. There will be increased excitability and it is electrically coupled with smaller unmyelinated and poorly myelinated fibers which are carrying the pain. So the area of demyelination will be hyperexcitable and the fibers which are connected to this area will carry the pain sensation, leading to characteristic pain in trigeminal neuralgia. Now what can cause the compression of the trigeminal nerve root? It is most often a blood vessel. It is most often a blood vessel and the most commonly involved artery is superior cerebellar artery, which will compress the nerve root. Also there can be a tortuous vein which can cause compression. Now this is typically seen in old age because there is age related sagging of the brain. Second one, there is increased vascular thickness in old age, and third, there is increased tortuosity of the blood vessels. These all factors are responsible for the increased frequency of this disorder in middle age to older age individuals. Now when we consider the differential diagnosis of this disorder, it must be distinguished from other causes of face and head pain. Now DDs include migraine, cluster headache and headache like SUNCT. First of all, migraine and cluster headache can be differentiated because these are usually deep seated and the pain is usually steady. Rarely, cluster headache can have associated trigeminal neuralgia and this is known as cluster tic. Cluster tic. Now, SUNCT is very confusing with trigeminal neuralgia because it is also short lasting like trigeminal neuralgia, but this will have associated autonomic features like lacrimation and nasal congestion and ear fullness. Now temporal arteritis, the pain of temporal arteritis is superficial pain just like the pain of trigeminal neuralgia, but this is not typically shock like pain which is typical of trigeminal neuralgia. Also there is presence of myalgias and fever in cases of temporal arteritis, and when we investigate the patient, ESR and CRP is usually positive. Now multiple sclerosis should always be ruled out if we have a patient of trigeminal neuralgia who is young, that is less than 50 years of age, and is complaining of bilateral pain. The cause in multiple sclerosis is demyelinating plaque near the root entry zone of fifth nerve in the pons. Now this can also occur secondary to mass lesions like aneurysms, which will compress the root of fifth nerve, neurofibromas, acoustic schwannoma or vestibular schwannoma, and finally tumors like meningiomas. So these can all cause the compression of fifth nerve root leading to trigeminal neuralgia. Now this disorder is so clinically characteristic that lab evaluation is usually not needed, but we can go for ESR or CRP if temporal arteritis is suspected, and we can also go for neuroimaging like MRI brain, which may be valuable if we are suspecting multiple sclerosis and if we have to plan the surgery for removing any vascular lesion which is compressing the root. So during the planning of surgery. Now coming on to last and most important part of this lecture, that is the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. So treatment can be both medical as well as surgical. First we will be discussing the medical treatment. So the drug of choice for trigeminal neuralgia is carbamazepine, and it is effective in 50 to 75% of patients. Now the dose which we start is 100 milligram daily, and we can take it up to 200 milligram 4 times a day. Now when we consider the side effects of carbamazepine, these include dizziness, imbalance, as well as sedation. Now a rare side effect but a very dangerous side effect is agranulocytosis. Usually the treatment with carbamazepine is continued till 1 month after the pain relieved, and the drug is then tapered gradually. Oxcarbazepine is an equally effective alternative which can be given in a dose of 300 to 1200 milligram BD, and it has an advantage that it is less toxic to bone marrow and it will not cause agranulocytosis. Usually does not cause agranulocytosis. Now the other drugs which can be used include lamotrigine, which is a anticonvulsive drug which can be used 400 milligram daily, phenytoin, which is also anticonvulsive, again 300 to 400 milligram daily can be used, and baclofen, which can be used 5 to 10 milligram daily, and the dose can be increased up to 20 milligram 4 times a day. It can be given alone or in combination with anticonvulsants. Now if the medical management fails to treat the pain of the patient, then we have surgical options. These can be microvascular decompression, gamma knife radiosurgery, and radiofrequency thermal rhizotomy. So in microvascular decompression, we relieve the pressure on the trigeminal nerve. This procedure will require suboccipital craniotomy. It is more than 70% in efficacy, but there is a risk of perioperative damage to the 8th nerve and 7th nerve, or there can be damage to cerebellum, as well as cases of post-operative CSF leak syndrome are also reported. Now to avoid all these risks, we have gamma knife radiosurgery. This is having less complications but is also less effective at the same time than the decompression, but complete pain relief occurs in patients, but there is recurrence over 2 to 3 years in half of the patients. Now in radiofrequency thermal rhizotomy, which is very less often used now, it creates a heat lesion in the trigeminal ganglion or nerve. This leads to post-operative numbness, jaw weakness, or even corneal denervation with risk of secondary keratitis in patients. So I think I have covered all the important points of the trigeminal neuralgia. Thank you so much.